Act 2. Oh, and before I go into it, going into the kiss that happens at the end of Act 1 and you will be found. I want to say this, and I don't know why people know this. Zoe is the one that initiates the kiss. Evan backs away. He's like, heck nah. But then he has this moment where he's like, and then he goes in and kisses her. Now, I wish it was more impactful when they did this in the DC version where they had Connor, the actual person there, over them, and I feel like that kind of made it more clear that Evan knew that this was really disrespectful to Connor and this was going and crossing a line, but yet he still does it. Now, I'm not trying to defend Evan kissing Zoe. He shouldn't have done that. Like, that was messed up. But what I will say is that I can almost, in a weird, messed up way, understand and realize I probably would have done the same thing as Evan. Give you a quick story. Freshman year, I was desperate, I was alone, there was a school that I really liked, and I'm going to tell you something. If this girl thought that I knew her brother or friend or something, and I was given the opportunity to kiss her and become a thing with her, and I probably would have done that. Because, like Evan, and I have felt deprived of love sometimes. I felt deprived of connection. I felt alone, desperate, and dark stuff. And for Evan, he's deprived of his mom and his mom's love. Never around. He has to take pills, and he doesn't get tangible, real things to deal with his anxiety. He doesn't have a strong male figure in his life. His dad's left him. He is alone. He's isolated. He can't make friends. He doesn't have any emotional support whatsoever. He is completely stripped of everything. And when people, and I feel like people can't almost empathize, and I think this is kind of ironic that, you know, the whole point of the show is to empathize, and people can't seem to do that, and they're all doing it through the internet, which is even more ironic and funny, is that people can seem to understand that, like, that there are people out there, and you have been one of those people that have been so desperate and alone that you would actually do anything, and you would do things that you would never even think you would do because logic, right? Or because, hey, that's messed up and sociopathic. Except human impulse, our desire to feel love, to be connected, especially in social media, overtakes logic and reason. Evan is not going off of logic, he's going off of emotional logic. And emotional logic is, logically, because I feel this way emotionally, I'm going to do it. And Evan knows he's doing the wrong thing, but he doesn't care anymore. Because he has the opportunity, and he decides to take it. And we have to understand that that is okay. Well, I shouldn't say that it's okay. It's understandable. It is understandable that he does that. And we should be like, oh my god, like, talking from our, like, you know, high pedestals. Because, come on, guys. You really, if you guys got the chance to kiss your crush after feeling so alone and isolated, and if you felt like Evan or been in the same situation like Evan, like I have, you're telling me you wouldn't even think about it, and some of you wouldn't even do it? That is BS. That's the imperfect part of people. Making a poor decision, but saying, guess what? You made a bad decision, but that is okay because Evan learned from this mistake and he became a better person for it. But to criticize and stand on a high box for a teenager that is that desperate and alone is a bit, I find, stupid. We've all done stuff we know is wrong, but we still do. That doesn't mean we should get all of Twitter to cancel us and we should be criticized for the rest of our lives. But again, with the current culture and thinking we're in, that can't happen. You know, Evan's like, we need to write more emails, and then Jared says, well, to think about it, Connor dying is the best thing that ever happened to me. You're popular, you have your goal, you have the family that you never had, and then Evan's like, I don't care about any of that, I don't care if people at school know who I am, and that is true in the first act. All I want to is help the Murphys. Yeah, I know you keep saying that, and that's what, but the thing is in this act, Evan still has that motive and that purity, but he has given into his selfish impulses and the darkness and the messed upness and the desperation has led him to this point that he is exploiting Connor's death and doing a messed up thing to feel validation, to feel connected, you know. And I think the whole point is like to, you know, see a situation where people are exploiting it, and instead of criticizing and critiquing and all of this stuff, to see why do you feel that way, trying to empathize, understand, not forgive and make excuses once again, to see, okay, why is the culture like this? Why are people have come to this low point, this sociopathic, low, gross point, and seeing them as people instead of people to criticize and absolutely hate, which we shouldn't do. And that's Evan. Like, Evan is not redeemable in the second act. In the first act, he is. In the second act, he is not wanting the Connor project to fade away, and he wants more emails because cares about it, but he cares more that he's going to lose Zoe and the family, and he subconsciously thinks that, but he's kind of trying to tell this lie that, oh, but I really do care. Whereas in the first act, there is no lie that he's being told. He's not telling himself any lie. He's actually doing this for pure good reasons. Even though they're exploitative, it's better exploitation than what Jared was doing. And then we see Evan basically being an a-hole in Good For You and all this stuff. Evan does have a darker side, and I've always said that Evan and Connor are like the same people, just went down two different paths. And I think we start to see a bit more of the aggressive side of Evan in these songs and in this whole scene. And kind of being actually like mean to Jared and to Alana. And I think that's because he's now panicking, seeing that this whole thing could unravel and kind of taking it out on people and becoming the opposite of who he actually is, and ultimately doing stuff that he would never want to do. And I think Evan starts to see what his lie is doing to people, and he gets that wake-up call. He gets that punch in the face that we all get when we're being stupid, when we've gone too far down the hole. And Evan now wants to get out of that. And then we see the scene with Connor where he says Connor is basically Evan's subconscious, but it's interesting that he says that Connor says after everything they've done for you, they need you. That lie is the only thing that's keeping them together. That's not true. Oh, really? They seem like a pretty happy family when you met them. And that is so true and messed up, because that is true. That lie kept them together. Just like we don't see people canceling Commissioner Gordon for lying to Gotham City that Harvey Dent killed, Harvey Dent killed somebody. And they blame it on Batman, because if they put Harvey Dent, people would be like, oh no, uncomfortable, no, and they would have exploded and it would have been terrible, but we got 7 years of peace. And that's the thing, is lies can keep people together. As uncomfortable and as messed up and as disgusting and as it is to say, lies is a short-term solution, but it can bring people together and it can stop the inevitable from happening. But the whole point and the message and the thing to walk away with is that we need to not lie to ourselves and tell ourselves these lies. We have to face those uncomfortable truths and get together and get through stuff by facing reality. Because when we tell ourselves lies and all this stuff, we get Evan Hansen. We get the messed up words fail scene and song, and we cannot have that anymore. At the end, Connor says, all you'll be left with is you. And Evan, subconscious, is saying, we hate us, we hate our real selves, and we don't want that. And then we get him sending the suicide note, which is once again impulsive, and that also can't be very much redeemed at all. And we see the negative side of the internet cancel culture and people talking, commenting on stuff that they don't know about and that they don't have a position to talk about. But Evan doing this kind of makes people be like, well, he knew he was doing something wrong and he continued to do it. But that's the thing. Evan was still debating in his head what he wanted to do, if he wanted to talk about it, if he didn't. And he does it in an act of desperation. And I do think that is the one point when Evan is kind of... You do kind of hate Evan for it, for revealing this suicide note. But if he didn't, the orchard never would have been built, and the real positive of Evan and his whole thing wouldn't have happened. So it kind of needed to happen. And then we get Words Fail, and the lyrics are very, very interesting. Basically, I mean, I could go with line by line, but I don't want to. He's basically saying that, kind of what I've been saying this whole explaining is, sometimes you see everything you wanted, everything you wish you had, and it's right there in front of you, and want to believe it's true, so you make it true, and you think maybe everybody wants it and needs it a little bit too. And this whole thing is saying is that he saw what he was always dreamed and fantasized about, and it was right there in front of him, and he wanted to believe it's true, and so he made it true through telling this lie. And then he says, and you think maybe everybody wants it and needs it a little bit too. This could be referring to the Connors in the world in general, wanting to believe a lie so they don't have to face the ugly truth. Or in Evan's case, having to face the real him. And kind of explaining kind of why he told this lie and how much this family meant to him, and talking about he never had the dad that stuck it out, the mom that was there for him, the girl, all that stuff. And then he was like, I couldn't let that go. I couldn't give that up. I want to believe because I don't have to see what's really there. And basically the whole thing is him saying how he wanted to believe in this lie because then he didn't have to see what was really there that was him, and he hates himself. And this kind of is a great metaphor and, I guess, message that people don't want to face reality. They don't want to face who they are. They don't want to look in the mirror. So they tell themselves lies. And the end of it is basically like, how do I accept myself? How do I step into this? How do I accept who I am and face these uncomfortable truths instead of lying? And that is and the way they convey this message, I think, is a little convoluted, it's unclear, but it is so genius and is so needed and is so revolutionary, and it blows my mind that people kind of didn't understand that this is what they were going for. Even I didn't understand that this is what they were going for until 2 days ago. It truly just is groundbreaking how words fail is not really a way for you to feel bad for Evan, but for you to relate to Evan, and every lyric, every word, you understand, and that's why you don't hate Evan. And this Words Fail song isn't making excuses or trying to make you feel bad. It's honestly trying to get across a very valid and meaningful point. And then we get to the ending scene, which people say Zoe lets him off the hook, and she excuses him. She's not. She understands and empathizes and relates to Evan on an emotional level. But she does not ever let him off the hook, make excuses, or forgive him for what he's done, or forget what he's done. But she does say, that lie kept us together, and having this orchard helped them a lot. And in a weird way, in a messed up way, Evan's lie did help. And it did bring them together, because if Evan didn't lie and didn't come into their lives, they wouldn't have had to have gone through 2 tragedies, and most likely would have ended up divorced and estranged. But because Evan lied, and because they were able to understand, okay, he wasn't a good, that Connor wasn't a bad person, but he also wasn't a good person. And they were able to understand he was a complicated human being. And that's such a hard thing for people to wrap their heads around in this day and age. And how both of them, Cynthia and Larry, and Zoe, were all responsible, and to not put the blame on just one person. And through Evan's lies, they're able to understand this, learn something, and grow from it, which is why they don't reveal Evan's truths, because they understand that, in a very messed up way, he actually helped them and brought them together and taught them a valuable lesson, which a lot of people should know about and understand more. And then the final monologue, which is, you're just you, no hiding, no lying, just you, and that's enough. And that's the whole point, is you don't have to lie and put on a mask and be a sportsy guy if you're a drama guy, or, you don't have to hide who you are. Being you is enough. And that's a message that is very powerful and something that people need to hear more, especially in this day and age. And they talk about how no one will remember maybe one day, and instead of letting go, whoever's, on the orchard will just hold on, and he'll keep going. He'll keep going until he sees the sun. And the whole point of that is to show that what Evan's inspirational speech did in the story of Connor and Evan is hopefully going to show and tell people is to not let go, and to show that if you do kill yourself, if you do let go of the hope, that you will affect and hurt people, and that you don't want that. And also, if you do keep on going, no matter how hard it is, and trust me, I know, when my dog died, I didn't want to keep going, but I did keep going. And for some people, sadly, that's not the case, and they can't do that. But I think the whole message is to keep going, because you will meet your tribe, you will meet your people. Someone will hold out their hands, and it's a call to people that are in a better position mentally to reach out their hand and catch the people that are falling. And that hopefully this story can inspire and open up the conversation about mental health, and can hopefully allow, so there is not another Connor, there is not another Evan, and he did change things for the better in this weird and uncomfortable way. Woo! So that is my Evan Hansen breakdown and analysis. That's pretty much all I'm gonna say. Hopefully that made sense. I have more thoughts, but I'm gonna end the video here because this was a long video. Make sure to like, sub, and comment, and hopefully you guys read the script and you can agree with my opinions, because I feel like this is a very important musical that I relate to, that I don't think should get hate. Obviously, if you're gonna hate it, that's completely fine. There are valid arguments as to why Evan is a bad character and all this stuff, but I personally believe in the opposite. And yeah, go and see the movie. It's gonna be good.